The reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
The attack of Bubbles the Chimp and the King of Pop's shower of shame. Take two, indeed. Hello, I'm James Curtis, and welcome to E's coverage of the Michael Jackson trial. On cross-examination, Jackson's former housekeeper provided more incendiary testimony. Here's what the jurors heard according to the courtroom transcripts.
Okay. Do you remember in your deposition saying you had never seen Mr. Jackson touch anyone improperly?
Yeah.
Do you remember saying you never saw him touch anyone?
Yeah.
You did say that, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay, and in that deposition, you told the truth, right?
As I recall it at the time, yeah.
You told the truth at that time, right?
As I remember it.
Yes, and you were under oath, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you said that you had never seen Michael Jackson touch anyone in a sexual way, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you said at no time while you worked for Michael Jackson did you ever see him have sexual contact with anyone, right?
When I say sexual, I mean sexual.
But you did say under oath that you had never saw Michael Jackson have sexual contact with anyone, right?
No.
Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Next, was the story told by Jackson's maid all about hard copy and easy money? Inquiring minds want to know.
In your deposition, you said under oath you had never seen Mr. Jackson molest a child, right?
Molest a child? No. Yeah, I say that.
Okay. Was it after that deposition that you were interviewed by hard copy?
No.
Well, it was before.
Oh, before I met with him at my deposition? No, that interview was before.
So the interview with hard copy was before the deposition?
Yes.
Right? And that's the interview you were paid $20,000 to do, right?
Yes.
And that's the interview that you had your friend Evangeline help you arrange, right?
Yes.
And then after you were paid, you said you paid her some money, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever talk to anyone from the National Enquirer?
No.
Is Hard Copy the only media group that you ever met with?
Yeah, I guess someone tried to. Someone contacted me from National Enquirer, I think, and from Los Angeles Times.
In your deposition, you said the people from Hard Copy are not honest, right?
Yeah.
Indeed. Sean and Ricky, Howard's on assignment, taking care of some other business today. This testimony talks about some issues that, in my mind, aren't really issues in the trial. This woman never talked about, as far as we know, the issues that Mesro brings up on this first cross-examination, her seeing molestation. She never says she saw molestation by Michael Jackson.
No,
so why is he going down this line?
She talks around it. It's about where was the underwear, how many people were in the shower. It's clear that she is disturbed by the conduct of Michael Jackson, according to her testimony now. But I think Mesro is really right to go back to hard copy for a number of reasons. Because when you're dealing with something that has that tabloid kind of feel in those days, which hard copy certainly did, like the National Enquirer, that what he's saying is, hey, look, you took the money. And either you're lying then or you're lying
But
now.
Sean, let's go this way, and let's talk about, we hear two sections of testimony. The second section of testimony, the segment that Ricky refers to, has to do with money, and I think you're absolutely right about that. But I want to go back to that first segment of testimony. Tom Mesro goes down the road of cross-examination. You never saw any molestation. You never saw any appropriate conduct. The woman never said that she saw any inappropriate conduct on her direct. Is this a legitimate path of cross-examination?
I do think it's a legitimate path of cross-examination, and I think that what Mesro does with her is what happened with Gavin's brother and sister. By discrediting her, it almost causes her son to be discredited to a certain extent. And by bringing up the hard copy thing, to go back to what Ricky was saying, you find this, I think, in these high-profile cases. There were a number of witnesses in the O.J. trial who had sold their stories, and I think that they were effectively discredited by virtue of having done that. And this woman, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon what side you're on, sullies, I think, to a certain extent, her son's testimony and causes you to question it, perhaps.
And one of the problems with her admission, this woman, the mother of the prior alleged accuser, whose name is Jason, is that she claims she didn't really know what hard copy wanted to talk to her about. Anyway, defense attorney Tom Mesereau tries to show that the memory of this witness is as foggy as a shower door.
Do you remember saying in your deposition that you saw Mr. sleeping in Mr. Jackson's bed?
Yes.
Do you remember you were asked how many times you saw that, and you said maybe twice?
I don't remember that I say that, but I think that's what it was.
Maybe twice.
I don't remember what I say at the time, but I think that was the time. I mean, that was the times.
So you think you saw Mr. in Mr. Jackson's bed maybe twice?
Yeah.
And you think you saw Mr. Jackson in a shower with Mr. one time, right?
Yes.
But you said the shower was fogged up and you couldn't really see, right?
I saw the figure.
You saw the figure and you heard a lot of laughing, right?
Yeah.
And you thought they were playing, right?
Yes.
In your deposition, you said under oath you couldn't tell whether they were touching each other or not, right?
Yeah.
The prosecutor asked you questions about finding money in your son's pants, right?
Uh-huh.
You found the money in his pockets, correct?
Yes.
We have to go back, Ricky, I think, to the issue, and I'm specifically now, as I review the juror profiles, the thumbnails that we know about these jurors. Juror number 5, and we're giving them rather random numbers based on where they sit, has a grandson who is a registered sexual deviant, as she puts it in her juror questionnaire. How is that cross-examination that we talked about at the beginning playing with a juror like that?
Well, we don't know what the grandson is a registered sexual deviant for.
Right.
We
don't know if it's children, we don't know if it's adults.
It could be an adult, for heaven's sake. It could be statutory rape.
Yeah.
You could have a 21-year-old with a 15 or 16-year-old girlfriend. But one of the things that I do think Mesereau is trying to do, as I look at this again, is what he is saying is this. Look, 1108, this evidence section that lets in evidence of prior sexual misconduct for the purpose of showing propensity. That's what the ruling says. What they're really showing is not prior sexual misconduct. What they're showing is his relationship, which could be innocent, with little boys. He says he lets little boys sleep in his bed. He tickles little boys. Maybe even, well, we may not say we like it. Maybe he takes a shower with little boys. We don't even know if they're wearing bathing suits in the shower. We don't know. But the reality is what I think Mesereau is going to argue is the case using Gavin is weak. Yeah. And so to shore up the case, Mesereau will argue to the jury in closing argument, they take innocent conduct, not...
Well, maybe not innocent, non-criminal conduct.
But non-criminal conduct. Fair enough. I take that amendment.
And what I said before, Michael Jackson is probably the only 46-year-old man who could engage in this conduct that by anyone else would be considered in and of itself deviant and proof enough that he's guilty of these charges. But Michael Jackson is a unique individual, as we've seen. And this could be, if maybe not innocent, but non-criminal conduct because it's him.
And perhaps, and as you say, I got to tell you, if this was me, folks, and somebody said I did this kind of conduct, put me away. Okay, I'm done. I vote guilty for myself. Michael Jackson, we maybe not excuse it, but certainly we give it a question mark as to what exactly it means. When we return, Bubbles, the chimp, goes bananas. Don't make me laugh, Ricky. We'll be right back.
The reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back. As the cross-examination of Michael Jackson's former maid continues, defense attorney Tom Mesereau asks about one of Jackson's house guests, the celebrity who would really turn this trial into a circus. Here's what the jurors heard according to the courtroom transcripts.
Do you remember stating that you thought Michael Jackson was very childlike?
Yeah, yes.
He very often acted like a child in your mind, right?
Yes.
Do you remember saying that he would let his chimpanzee sleep in his room?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The chimpanzee's name was Bubbles, right?
Yes.
And Bubbles would sometimes stay in Mr. Jackson's room, right?
Yes.
You talked about Bubbles wearing a diaper, right?
Yes.
You said the monkey didn't like the diaper, right?
Yeah.
And you would often clean after the monkey was in Mr. Jackson's room, right?
Yes.
You said at one time Bubbles got too old, and then there was another monkey, right?
I don't remember about the other monkey, but it was Bubbles.
Mr. Jackson and a lot of children used to play with the monkey, didn't they?
At Havenhurst, he only had bubbles.
Okay, but the children would come and play with the monkey, wouldn't they?
Not at Havenhurst, just one time.
Well, where would you see Bubbles?
At Havenhurst, I think.
Okay. Did you ever see Bubbles at Neverland?
I don't remember. I think it was bigger at that time.
Okay, but he was at Neverland, right?
He was at Neverland. I don't remember.
Next, does Tom Mesereau, the defense attorney for Michael Jackson, get this witness to shift ever so slightly from her earlier testimony? Well, as Grandma used to say, nothing beats a failure but a try.
Have you ever discussed your son's claim that Mr. Jackson improperly touched him with your son? Have you ever had a discussion about that?
At one time back in '94.
Okay. You talked to your son about what he said. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I say, what's going on? And he say, I just don't want to talk about it.
That was in 1994?
94, I think so.
Have you ever discussed with your son his claims about Mr. Jackson?
No.
Never?
No. I asked him that I was going to ask his counselor.
Okay.
And he say no.
Okay, so you've never discussed
No.
your son's claims with him?
No.
Now, the prosecutor asked you questions about what you said in the deposition about what you could see in the shower, right?
Yeah.
And in the deposition, you said under oath that all you could see was a shadow, right?
Yeah.
Was that the truth?
A shadow, an image, yeah.
That's all you could see?
Yeah.
In the shower, correct?
I hear two voices.
You heard giggling and laughing, right?
Yeah.
And all you could see was a shadow through the glass.
The glass, yes.
And that's because the glass was fogged up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You only saw one person in the shower, right?
I saw him in the shower and the little kid.
But in your deposition, you said you could only see one person, but you heard giggling, right?
Yeah, but I hear two people.
You heard two people. You could only see one through the glass, right?
Mostly, yeah, mostly.
Do you remember you were asked in your deposition, did you hear anything else other than Michael laughing, and you said no?
Yeah.
Was that the truth?
Yes.
A quick note, the Havenhurst property mentioned refers to another one of Michael Jackson's property that he owned where this woman worked at the time. Sean Chapman-Holly, we've gone to essentially the strong inference and suggestion by this prosecution team that playing in the shower at the very least equals molestation. But this cross-examination does very good to move this witness back to her previous testimony about you didn't really see two people. You only saw one shadow and heard some giggling, a lot of inferences going on in this witness's mind.
This is brilliant and perfect cross-examination because he is able to break down exactly what she didn't see and what she didn't hear.
Textbook, wasn't it?
It's textbook. It's perfect. And, you know, I want to go back to what your very first question today. I think that the reason Mesereau was focusing on all of this, even though she says she didn't see anything, is that she was a maid for a long time. And if there was stuff going on, she is someone, perhaps, who would have seen it. The only one who is alleging molestation is her son.
Yeah.
During the time that she's there.
$2.4 million
Exactly. But she didn't see anything else, only her son, and the son got the money, and she got some money too.
Let me take the prosecution's point of view for a minute, if I may. Let's see what the prosecution is saying here. Under 1108, all they have to do, it's not prior allegations of molestation. It's prior acts that show propensity. So we have a maid who believes she either sees or hears giggling in the shower of Michael Jackson and a young boy. She sees underwear and adults, Michael Jackson, a child. She sees a boy and Michael Jackson in bed, naked from the waist up. She sees along the way beds that are unmade, but really it's only one bed in the bedroom that is unmade. All of this trying to show a propensity that will eventually lead to the molestation of Gavin. That's the prosecution's case.
And as fabulous as Ricky Kleeman is was as a defense attorney, now being the First Lady of Los Angeles, as the wife of the police chief here, you know, she was a hell of a prosecutor, too.
Thank you.
Now, back to the king of pop's shower. Is the prosecution team all wet? Is the defense team throwing in the towel?
Do you remember in the deposition saying you never saw anyone else in the shower but Mr. Jackson?
I don't think I say that.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you the transcript?
Okay.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes. Page?
401. Have you had a chance to look at that page of the deposition?
Yes.
Does it refresh your memory about what you said about the shower?
Yeah?
You saw one person, Mr. Jackson, right?
Yes.
Or it looked like him through the glass, right?
Yes.
And the only voice you really heard was Mr. Jackson, correct?
No.
That wasn't correct?
I hear two.
You heard laughter?
Laughing and...
And that was at Neverland, right?
Yes.
Okay, you've seen Mr. Jackson in his jacuzzi, correct?
Correct.
You've seen him playing in his jacuzzi, correct?
Yeah.
You've never seen him molesting anyone in his jacuzzi, right?
No.
Let me just make sure that's phrased properly. You've never seen Mr. Jackson improperly touch anyone in his jacuzzi?
No.
Never saw that, right?
No.
All you law students out there, that was a great cross-examination segment. One image or two. On redirect examination, Assistant District Attorney Ron Zonin tries to pull that picture back into focus, and the witness reveals that all the bubbles weren't in the bath.
At the time that you looked through the glass into the shower, were you able to see a second person in there?
I want to say yeah, but I don't. You know, I hear the laughing and the talking and, you know, playing, and I didn't see the actual person, but it was moving, you know, with him.
Do you believe that you saw the image of a second person?
Yeah.
But not as clearly as Mr. Jackson?
Not as clearly, no.
Did you hear one voice or two?
Two.
And were you clear about that?
Yes.
You remembered the monkey Bubbles, excuse me, the chimpanzee, is that right?
Bubbles, yes.
Was Bubbles at more than one location?
I don't remember that. I think I remember the other little monkey. I think it was a different one, but I remember Bubbles at Havenhurst. And then he was taken to some kind of farm or trainer.
Did Bubbles get a little too big?
Yeah.
Did Bubbles get rambunctious, wild?
Wild.
Did Bubbles ever bite you?
Yeah.
On more than one occasion?
Twice.
This brings squarely into focus, if you will, folks, the idea of an individual's recollection is freshest and best and most reliable closest to the event. This is several years later, and this woman's trying to reconstruct this stuff.
Well, she told Hard Copy that nothing went on, and she may have had a reason to do that. One, she may have wanted money, but on the other hand, maybe she was just scared of losing her position.
Yeah, but in the deposition, Sean, she says, I saw one person, I heard Michael Jackson. Now it's two.
Right, and it kind of shows what happens with this embellishing. Things sort of get bigger than life.
Yeah.
It snowballs, and that seems to be what's happened with her. The story has grown.
And that's not necessarily, it doesn't mean that she's being dishonest. It's something that happens naturally with everybody. As time goes on, stories get bigger. It's just like that fish I caught way back. Well, we'll talk about that later. When we return, it's back to the bedroom and under the covers. I can't believe I just said that. Stay with us.
The reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back. Under redirect examination by Assistant District Attorney Ron Zonin, Michael Jackson's former maid reveals more about the King of Pop's now infamous sleepovers. Here's what she told the jurors according to the courtroom transcripts.
Mr. Mesereau asked you if you had seen Michael Jackson in bed with Wade twice, and you said yes?
Yeah.
Did you actually see Wade in bed with Michael Jackson?
Yeah, yes.
And that was on 2 different occasions?
Yes.
That doesn't include the times that you didn't see them in bed, but you cleaned up after them.
Yeah.
Could you see any clothing on either one of them?
I saw from the waist up, so I don't know if they had pajamas or...
But from the waist up, were either one of them wearing anything?
No.
They were both nude from the waist up?
Yeah.
On both occasions?
On one occasion, I remember.
On one occasion?
On one occasion.
All right, we're ready for our final thoughts. It's that time already. This keeps going faster and faster, doesn't it?
Well, it goes faster and faster, but I do think we have to look at one thing. Something that some people would say is innocent does sound nefarious here. And I think from the prosecution's point of view, that Mr. Zonin and Mr. Sneddon have gotten a lot of mileage from this witness. There is something in what I call the creep factor. There is something really creepy about a grown man in bed with a young boy, naked from the waist up.
What the law 1108 calls propensity.
It's creepy.
Except I think we're going to hear from at least one of these boys, perhaps now men, who said that yes, he slept in the bed, or they slept in the bed, but that nothing inappropriate happened.
You know, I'm
so
glad
yes,
you brought
it is
that up.
creepy, but we may hear that nothing criminal happened.
Only if they really, really are good guys and come in on the defense side. Because otherwise, we're not going to hear from them at all. And if they don't come forth, we know Macaulay Culkin, at least according to the press, is not going to testify. So Michael Jackson's left with a big negative out there.
But let's talk about a procedural issue right now.
Sure.
You get a criminal subpoena to come to a criminal proceeding. There's no choice in the matter. You don't get to select or elect whether or not you come to court.
Well,
That's
I guess
a court
you can
order.
leave the country. You know, I mean, where is Jordy? You know, it's a
you
question.
You got to serve him first with the subpoena.
That's right.
The issue.
Right. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But you're right. If these witnesses are compelled to come into court, we've heard at least that they're going to say that yes, they slept in the bed and nothing inappropriate happened.
Well,
and that will be very powerful for the defense.
And if you're representing Michael Jackson, you say to Michael Jackson, you want them in court. And if Michael has some feeling that he doesn't want to put them through this, it's time for the lawyer to rule and say you need them.
And will that reflect badly then on the prosecution about these individuals? We heard one individual named Wade, Macaulay Culkin, who say nothing happened, but the prosecution involves him in the trial nonetheless. That's it for today. Be sure to watch our exclusive coverage of the Michael Jackson trial weeknights, 7:30 p.m. new time. I got to say that all week, right here on 8.